Welcome back. Well, the first roundtable, we spent quite a bit of time looking at Brazil. But as we shift our focus now to the U.S. planting season, we will have the Ag Outlook Forum next week, kind of give the first take of what USDA thinks acreage is going to be. But what is your weather outlook for spring? Is it going to be favorable enough that we could get 95 plus million acres of corn even planted this year?
It is going to start off being a little dry in the western Corn Belt, plenty of moisture in the east. So the odds are fairly good that we will likely get a lot of work done quickly. The problem is that the subsoil moisture is going to be a bit low, and especially in the western Corn Belt, Iowa, Nebraska, parts of Kansas and Missouri, and even Illinois eventually. This drier bias is with us right now. If we continue bringing these cold shots of air coming through North America, we will still have a below normal precipitation bias as we go forward through that spring planting season. And then what will end up happening if we've been cold all the way through March, which I think we will be, there'll be a knee-jerk reaction in the atmosphere. We'll suddenly go very warm, and it will go warm and still have a drier tendency around. Now, there'll be some timely rain, so we'll be able to get the crop in the ground, and that's why I think we'll have good progress made. But in the bigger picture of things, we could dry out a little bit more significantly as we move deeper into spring and towards summer.
Arlan, hearing a lot of different acreage estimates right now. Where does StoneX sit?
Well, right now we're at 93.5 billion acres, which is up about 3 million from last year. But I have an alternate scenario I'm using right now, 95.5 million acres, which would be up 5 million acres essentially. While we're going to do another survey and collect more data right around March 1st when USDA does, because we're just hearing enough feedback from the seed industry about how big their corn seed sales are versus their soybean seed sales. And so if there's a bias to it, it's to the upside right now.
Dan, where do you sit?
I agree. I mean, we're at 93, and I just got back from a conference in Jonesboro in the Delta, and I was just shocked how many Delta farmers want to plant corn and abandon cotton and rice. And so if you think about that part of the world, that corn will be available to the market, late August, September. I believe that Arlan's right. Our stuff, we will do a survey again in the middle of March, but our surveys are pointing upwards, and I wouldn't be surprised by 94 million plus at some point.
Drew, as we talk about La Nina, I know looking at the summer forecast is quite a bit of ways, but as you look at some of your analog years from the past, what is your forecast for this summer? We're hearing possibly that we could be in some trouble and have some drought in places. Are there any hints of that right now?
There are definitely some hints, but it's not because of La Nina. La Nina will be gone by the time we get into mid-March. And the influence, this La Nina hasn't lasted long enough to really have a big footprint in the atmosphere. So as we get into April, it'll be pretty much a non-event. But we do have some other things that are playing out here. Certainly with the dry bias that I've already mentioned is going to be in the soil. So that's the first thing. And then the second thing is if we do warm up quickly in the spring, which is a high possibility, we could end up falling behind the 8 ball a little bit on the soil moisture. So that kind of sets the stage for a little bit of a drier bias right off the bat. Then we have to consider the negative phase of Pacific decadal oscillation. And that's been with us for a long time, and we have not had a tremendous amount of impact from that in past years, but this year could be different. And I'm seeing some additional cooling off the west coast of North America that may end up leading us into a greater ridge building with all the dryness that's in the soil and that negative PDO. So there's a potential there. I'm not ready to go all the way over with it, but that's where I'm headed.
Dry bias is what he's talking about. So as farmers are trying to prepare, and really how much of this year's crop do I need to get sold right now? Arlan, what are you telling producers?
I'm saying we're still in that part of the cycle, and we've been through enough of these cycles over the years. They tend to last for 3, 4, even 5 years at times, that you don't want to be focused on the home run hitting. You want to be hitting singles and doubles and focus on maintaining the equity that we built in our farms in recent years. Take advantage of the rallies as they come, and then hope that we sell the next unit of corn higher prices.
Dan?
I say the same thing as Arlan. Sell and defend is my message, which is sell as you get to margin, increasingly on rallies, And then somewhere along the line in April or May, buy a call option back or something that gives you some protection going forward. First, we got to get the revenue insurance price set, but I'm looking at revenue insurance saying this year's bean price may be $1.20 under last year. Corn will be even. What would you do as a farmer? But I think that plays into the magic of more corn acres down in spring.
All right, I appreciate you all being here. We need to take a quick break, and then we will be back with much more U.S. Farm Report in just a moment.